This thing's a little tricky. We can do it. Well, it was. There we go. Okay, nice and clean. We'll just monitor that. If for whatever reason we have a problem, we shall reconnect. If for whatever reason we have a problem, there we go. I like that. That's gonna. Okay, there we go. Any problem, we will reconnect. Don't anticipate a problem. We'll just keep an eye on that. As a matter of fact, yep. Don't need that right now. Put that over there. Okay. Yep. It's all happening. Yes, it is. 105. 105. Yes. Everybody's ready. Everybody likes real news. That's that much we know. Yep. The McGreed economy is not working. Nope. Governor McGreed is on the run. No question about it. Resign now. He is the worst. How did we get stuck with this guy? Just a nightmare is what it is. Yep. No one can deny it's not a nightmare. And it is. All right, we're going to stand by. JR is going to give us the go-ahead. Un momento. And then we shall begin. Yes. There it is, folks. At 106. 106. Excuse me. 106. On this sunny Wednesday. Sunny Wednesday. Day 2. Full day 2 of the Trump presidency. And there's so much happening and a lot going on. This is the real news. And we're going to bring you up to speed on everything. Now, right now, as we speak, it is exactly 107 on this Wednesday, January 22nd. Excuse me. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Now, staying on schedule, you can listen to the program, AM 1380, 99.9 FM. But wait, there's more. You can also listen online. Is it true I can listen online at the website? Yes, it is, as a matter of fact. You can. That's true. dpetro.com. The rumor is true. Someone said, I heard a rumor I can listen at the web. Well, I don't know if I'd call it a rumor. I mean, you're confirming something that, in fact, we talk about. But yes, that is true that you can listen at the website, dpetro.com. And right now, we are live, video and audio, on Facebook, our page, also YouTube, and also X, all three. And the beauty of that is, many times, you could then go back and watch at your leisure. Folks, this portion of the program, America is back. The golden age is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, Propane Plus for all your propane needs. Call them today, 401-885-4209. Now, in Massachusetts, call 508-252-3359. Propane Plus, heating and cooling. Remember, they also have a very user-friendly website. It's propaneplus.com. And then you just log on, residential or commercial, put in your zip code. I share, they have a great Facebook presence. Folks, you can depend on Propane Plus. Now, as always, visit the website, dpetro.com. Brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. I was at the Coesit Inn Saturday at 11:30. We thought, let's go for an hour. We were there till 3 o'clock. Folks, the Coesit Inn, in front of the roaring fire. 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. I may be back this weekend. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. The market at Coesit is terrific. Delicious, hot, fresh chicken soup and prepared meals. The Coesit Inn. Remember, safe, plenty of free safe parking. Now, I want to just touch on, just folks, for my purposes, and just so we have an understanding. Now, listen, right now it's not your imagination. It is very cold out right now. As I've said, this to me, this is the tough month. January to me is always, to me, it's the toughest month of the 12. February, the countdown is on for spring. In February, you also then, it's a shorter month. It starts getting bright out, end of the day. If there is snow, it melts. And then when we hit March Madness, St. Patrick's Day, and the next thing spring arrives. So, and then the spring is not, well, if anything, our falls are beautiful now. But anyhow, I think you understand what I'm saying. To me, the challenge is just to make it through January, and especially in this type of weather. Now, I do want to look at the forecast. All right, so it's obviously, hey, at least it's sunny out, folks. At least it's sunny out. As far as will we do Road Patrol live tonight? I don't know. Game time decision. I'm looking at temperatures: 15 degrees, 13 degrees. But I'm going to touch on that in a moment. But the reason I want to bring up the temperature is, again, so tomorrow, finally, we get above freezing. Friday. No, excuse me. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow, we get above freezing. Friday, sunny, and at least again, we get to the freezing mark. Now, Saturday, sunny and close to the freezing mark. And then Sunday, boom, everything breaks open. 36 degrees and sunny. And then I'm just looking ahead at next week for Road Patrol live weather. Tuesday, high of 36. Next Wednesday, high of 36. Next Thursday, high of 35. And no snow in the forecast. The next Friday will be sunny and then high of 27. So my point is, we certainly can do that. That's encouraging. I thought I had seen like that there was a 40 in the forecast for next week. So, all right. That's interesting. I am looking at next Wednesday, a week from today. The Providence forecast says it's going to hit above 40 degrees. My goodness. So, again, but the reason I mention that is because for Road Patrol Live, it's weather. It's weather dependent. Actually, maybe I should just check the Providence forecast. It is a little bit warmer in Providence. All right. But and I also want to touch on, folks. So with the cold weather, if anything, crime goes down, number one, and then number two, it can just be very challenging trying to do coverage outside. I know some people say, "Oh, you can get these hand warmers," and my cousin fishes in Alaska, and I understand that, but I'm not assigned, excuse me, by CBS to cover the Packers game, and it's going to be 0 degree. We're not doing that. So, but anyhow, I did want to mention. So we've kind of been grounded a little bit with Road Patrol just because of the weather. I am inclined. It'll be a game time decision. I think, not positive. I think we will do it tonight. And here's the good news. I mean, we're totally doing it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then next week the weather actually seems more reasonable. However, I did want to mention, so many people love when we're out at night and live streaming. And last night it was bitter cold, and I got a sense of why. Because to me, it's kind of what I've been saying. When I say there's nothing to watch on television, I mean there's nothing to watch on television. So no wonder, a light bulb went off. Of course, people love the live content as we're in the crime capital. Last night's options were, and again, if you follow the news the way I do, and I think many of you do, by nighttime, I don't need to have it rehashed all over again with all the nighttime Laura Ingraham, then Jesse Waters, then Hannity, and blah, blah, blah. And if you've been following the news all day, which I was, you kind of get burnt on it a little bit. So what were the options? URI, who at one point was close game and then ended up getting blown out at the Ryan Center. And then I stumbled into, I think it's Comedy Central just runs the office. My point is, I understand. My God, I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing on. You know what else is? Admittedly, I don't watch. I used to be a big television viewer. I don't even watch it anymore. There's too many commercials. There are too many commercials. And football is one thing. You have no choice. For instance, coming up this Sunday night, the Bills against Kansas City. I mean, that to me is like the Super Bowl. This Sunday is fantastic. 2 games back to back, and the winners get to go to the Super Bowl. But aside from that, and obviously I was watching a lot of the inauguration coverage, and then I was watching the President Trump press conference, which I'm going to touch on. But even then, I find I'm watching it on X, where C-SPAN has a live stream, so I don't even need to put on the television. But I want you to know, I see you, and I feel you, and I hear you, and I'm no wonder, as I say, all of our platforms are just exploding, and I get it. I can't even imagine. So that's what it's like at night. Let's see what's on. I mean, there's nothing on. And how about the only reason I see some of the because of football, I see, coming this winter or whatever on CBS or on Fox, the shows they're absolutely unwatchable. Terrible, unwatchable. All right, let me stay on schedule because that Trump press conference that happened, I played it. I played it on the radio show. It's very important. It's not going to get the type of coverage it should. There's several things that are happening right now that I feel very good about our position as the real news, because you're not getting what's really going on. I truly see, it's like a linebacker. Suddenly you see the hole emerge. I see it. And we're going to fully, I don't want to say exploit it, but we're going to definitely expose it, because our local media, who I'm just telling you, they're all anti-Trump. They are. We're going to bring it out forward. Now, I want to stay on schedule. I want to talk about that Trump press conference was big, huge, actually. And another reason why Governor McGreed has completely failed us. But folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Kids Club on the Pike. Birthday parties, before and after school programs, summer camp, preschool programs, Kids Club on the Pike. In watching the inauguration, a lot of the left progressives, a lot of the far left, number one, they're atheists. Number two, they're anti-family. A number of local progressive lefts, they were criticizing that Vice President J.D. Vance and his very young children were right there. President Trump didn't mind. First Lady Melania Trump didn't mind. There was just children being children after a long day. The progressives locally, what are these kids doing here? You know what? They're totally anti-family, anti-children. Those Vance children were beautiful. And Donna Perry's right. Melania Trump, her outfit was for outside. And so whatever, it worked. But anyhow, folks, Kids Club on the Pike, birthday parties, before and after school programs, summer camp, preschool programs, Kids Club on the Pike, right off of 295 on Plainfield Pike, right on the Cranston-Johnson line, easy to get to from anywhere. It's right off 295, Kids Club on the Pike. And especially, remember, they have various options providing transportation before and after care for school-age children 5 to 12, half and full-day programs for preschoolers 3 to 5. It's Kids Club on the Pike. Contact them. Look for them on Facebook. You can always call them at 401-443-5336. Now, today is Wednesday, January 22nd. Now, I have been critical. And right now, for whatever reason, I seem to be the only one in the media that is critical. That clearly, folks, I'm not on board with this governor, W. McKee, down the dial, where they just continue, they enable, they defend, they give him room to hide. I get it, right? His campaign worker there keeps everybody in line. But I said immediately at the time on Sunday night, the governor, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, and by the way, same goes for Maura Healey. What's the adage that I've always found inspirational, and I've even taught my children: move with the crowd, move no further than the crowd. I said on Sunday, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee should be at that inauguration. It's a slap in the face of the Trump administration, and then beyond that, be outside of yourself. So it's either him or his staff. They immediately said, we're not going. Why? Several reasons. Number one, the guy's very parochial. As I've said, there's really no difference between when he was the mayor of Cumberland and he's the governor. And I don't mean that in a flattering light, where people say he's the same guy. Yeah, that's the problem. He needed to be at that inauguration. Number one, it's rude. Number two, you're there because, sadly, you represent us, which I pray won't last much longer. But he had an obligation to be there. It's insulting to not show up at the inauguration. And on top of that, as I said, this guy, Governor McKee, who has no personality, who has no charisma. Larry Ellison was there. That was an opportunity. That was an opportunity to be in front of a lot of people, not just your fellow governors. And by the way, I get the whole thing. McKee is not up to it. He's not. He and his staff, they're so small time. He's most comfortable at the Brown URI game with his VIP laminate cheering him on the sidelines. Like, that's about his blanking speed. But that press conference was as big as it gets. And you almost need a translator for the way things are run in the 401. What did they announce? A $500 billion private investment, not government money. Not government money, private, real money. $500 billion investment. 100,000 jobs. 500 billion investment. 100,000 jobs. 10th of the population. Where are they going? Texas. Texas is the number one. Actually, Florida's become number one, but Texas is always in the top 1, 2, or 3 business-friendly states. It's hard to even translate what that means, but I'm going to try. $500 billion investment. President Trump said by the end of the week, they're going to have commitments for $7 trillion. They're not building in China. They're not going to other countries. They're going to set up shop. Again, I can't stress this enough. Private money. It's not taxpayer money. I don't think people around here even understand what that means anymore. Because here they have the ribbon cutting ceremony for, we're going to build the new library or we're going to build a new school. Gee, who's footing the bill for that? Whether it's Pawtucket or Warwick or what have you. And who is the key player involved? Larry Ellison of Oracle, who owns a home in Newport. He's big into racing. Can you imagine the opportunity? He was at the inauguration. He was part of the press conference yesterday. Can you imagine the opportunity that you're the governor of Rhode Island and you could stroll up and say, hey, I want to introduce myself. I love your home in Newport. I'm the governor of Rhode Island. Oh yeah. Listen, love to meet with you sometime. How's things in Newport? How's sailing? How can we work with you? I know you're doing the big project in Texas. 100,000 jobs, 100,000 jobs in a $500 billion investment. Not government money, investment. I'd love to talk to you, Larry, if we could come up with a $1 billion project, maybe in Newport, something involving sailing, whatever. We'd love to sit down. I'd like to, something blew off the whole thing. I can't stress this enough. You know why the rest of the media is not hammering him on this? Is because they're like, I wouldn't have gone either. Folks, they're beyond, I know when I say parochial, it doesn't even enter his mind. Excuse me. Let alone Texas. Do they have to hire a lobbyist to set this up in Texas? No. Are they throwing a fundraiser for the governor of Texas? No. I come back to, our local leaders. Hasbro was and they're still being bombarded with phone calls from all the jackals up on the Den of Thieves. All the Rhode Island lobbyists calling Hasbro, you need me. Calling Hasbro, you have to hire me as a lobbyist. And from what I was told, the Hasbro executive said, well, why do we have to hire you? We're dealing with the governor of Massachusetts and the mayor of Boston without a lobbyist. Now think of Hasbro. They do worldwide deals. They do huge ventures. They have an acquisition team. They have basically an in-house law department. They have professional negotiators where they're negotiating huge deals on behalf of Hasbro. Why do we have to hire a Rhode Island lobbyist? And Speaker Sakachi even saying out loud, well, we've noticed they haven't hired a lobbyist. Why do they have to hire a lobbyist? And then from what I was told, the lobbyist is saying to Hasbro, well, you see, you got to throw the governor a fundraiser, and then you got to throw the speaker a fundraiser, and then you got to throw the Senate President Ruggiero, who looks like he has both feet in the grave, as a matter of fact. Senate President Ruggiero looks like he's already got the makeup on at Nautilillo. Well, you see, you got to throw them fundraisers. Oh, I have to throw them fundraisers. Yeah, what you're going to do is, I'm your lobbyist for Hasbro. So you give me $5,000 or $10,000 a month, and then I kick it back to them, and that's how we do business around here. What do you think Hasbro is saying to that? What do you think Hasbro is saying? Hasbro is saying, we don't have a lobbyist in Massachusetts. We're dealing directly with the mayor of Boston and the governor. Well, see here, Hasbro executives, you need to throw McKee a fundraiser. You have to throw the speaker. Now, listen, as your lobbyist, I'll set it up. They're all at Crown Plaza. And I got a guy that, folks, they don't even understand how tone deaf they are. That is pay to play. Gee, I wonder why Hasbro would be leaving. And even Larry Ellison of Oracle. Can you imagine him meeting? Okay, hey, I met the governor. He would say to one of his people, make it happen. Set this up. Let's get something in the works. That is true. I have a home there. I do love sailing there. Yeah, let's make an investment with that. What do you think would happen after that? Well, phone calls off the hook. Oh, I'm a lobbyist from the Rhode Island State House. See, you need to throw a fundraiser for the governor. And Larry Ellison could say, I don't know what you're talking about. I just met the guy. No. You need to have a fundraiser for him because you got to kick money back to him. And then what would happen? They come in. Let's just dream for a minute. They're saying, maybe we are going to do something in Rhode Island. Maybe we're going to make a big investment. Who comes knocking at the door? Oh, here comes Pat Crowley and all the union hacks and thugs. And oh, no, we're going to take over your workforce. And this has to be a unionized workforce, and we control it. And that's basically a shakedown, which is what they do. And Magritte is standing there, silent. Folks, who with a brain with an option would want to deal with that? The answer is nobody. Are they getting shaken down in Texas? No. Do you think is DeSantis? Florida is the #1 state to start a business. Is DeSantis shaking anybody? No. It's hard to actually even fathom. $500 billion project. And they don't have to hire any of the barnacles, the parasite lobbyists at the Rhode Island State House. Oh, you got to hire me. I'm going to help you navigate. And the first thing we need to do is throw a fundraiser and blah, blah, blah. Who would want to deal with that? Nobody. Nobody with options. No one with options. I want to come back to not even in the room. Not even in the room. This governor, nope, didn't even attend. The guy, you're about to see, and now hold on, there's a part 2 to this, by the way. You're about to witness how worthless. Maybe that seems a little cruel. Let me be a little more professional, maybe, or constructive criticism. I'll say this. Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee and his staff of incompetent, small-time buffoons, they don't have the proper background or skill set to be able to interact with these individuals. I'll tell you, two people that could. One, people may not like this, but it's true. Former Governor Raimondo, venture capitalist, commerce secretary. She could interact with them. She may have interacted with them. Number 2, looking at the horizon, Helena Folks. She was a CEO. She knows what it's like to have huge numbers of employees. She knows what it's like to make millions. She knows what it's like to have options. She knows what it's like to be a sought-after CEO. But this crew, can you imagine? Imagine Larry Ellison, Oracle, actually takes Magritte. It's an imaginary governor, sets up an imaginary meeting. And he has to, walk in. And there's Dominic Ruggiero. Looks like Nardalillo. Oh, did I take a wrong turn? Is this a funeral home? And Val Lawson. Oh, you have to meet the Senate leaders. It's actually even too embarrassing to dwell on, folks. But there's a part 2 here that's coming. And I noticed the local media is a little slow on this for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's the Cicilline control. Maybe it is. I want to, this portion of our program, folks. Now, every Thursday, we have on Stephanie Murphy. Remember, right now, on this Wednesday, if you need good attorney, especially criminal defense attorney, Marin, Barrett, and Murphy, 50 years combined Rhode Island criminal defense experience. Call them 401-228-8271. Look for them on Facebook and Instagram, Marin, Barrett, and Murphy Law Firm. We're going to talk to Stephanie tomorrow. And also, this portion of the program is brought to you by Watson Materials. Folks, I mean, there's a leader and then there's a leader. Watson Materials, the largest selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island, South County Trail, e.g., call them today. Request a quote, 401-885-0600, 401-885-0600. Watson Materials, landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone. Watson Materials, the most complete selection of landscape materials. Call them. Watson Materials, 401-885-0600. There's actually 2 things that I feel fairly confident Number one, the rest of the media aren't going to really glob onto. And number two, that even if they do, they're not that well versed the way the chosen one is. Let's start off with there are 4 states that are right now. By the way, also, well, there's actually 3 things I want to touch on. I'll just say this business about lawsuits and immigrants, and if you're born in this country, it's that's not what they're doing. They game the system. They absolutely, this birthright citizenship, they're gaming the system. They purposely come here pregnant to give birth with the anchor babies. That's just a fact. That's what they're talking about, this birthright citizenship. But that will play out. But this is what I'm talking about. 4 states sue to block illegals from being counted in the census. Now, folks, this is Fox News, by the way. 4 states are suing to block that. The reason why this is so significant is if you just go back in time a little bit, Rhode Island, not only did Rhode Island count illegals, Rhode Island made the mistake of bragging about counting illegals. Rhode Island was set to lose a congressional seat. And right now, I don't think it even makes a difference because I think I'm I'm not sure who's more useless, Congressman Gabe Amo or Seth Magaziner. But Langevin essentially didn't run for re-election because he thought he was out. There was going to be 1 seat and that Cicilline would take it. 4 states sue to block illegals from census count. Louisiana, Ohio, Kansas, and West Virginia. Well, folks, Gina and company, Raimondo, they have been caught. They have absolutely been caught. And I'm reading right from it. After the 2020 census, the lawsuit says, former President Biden Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, as well as the Census Bureau, decided to include, quote, illegal aliens and aliens holding temporary visas in the census figures for determining House representatives and Electoral College votes. I believe they will be successful. So what does that mean? Folks, it's what I have been talking about. Counting these people in Central Falls, counting many of these people in Providence, counting many of these people in Pawtucket. They're not citizens. Lieutenant Governor Matos, oh no, they're Rhode Island. There's no such thing as a Rhode Island citizen, Matos. Speaking of useless. The fact Raimondo is in there, I got to admit, I do like that. Because, and this is, by the way, this is the only reason Rhode Island kept the 2 seats in the Electoral College affected. Why? Because so many people have fled because of the poor policies. That's what it is. The poor policies set up. How about the fact the Trump White House today, they're ending the whole DEI thing. That was head of the health department, Dr. Nicole Alexander Scott. That was always her thing, as I've talked about. This whole nonsense. We used to have to sit there in the COVID briefings. Everyone treated the same. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity, equity, inclusion. And I would say, Dr. Scott, I attended 100 COVID press briefings in person. Dr. Scott, how many press briefings did the talk hosts over on WMKRO attend, all combined? 0. Dr. Scott, my question, why Central Falls? It looks like they have 10,000 cases of COVID. She'd say, that is correct, Juan. I said, the way I'm looking at this map chart, it shows that Jamestown has 2 cases of COVID. She said, that is correct, Juan. So my question was, why are they being treated the same? Central Falls has 10,000 cases of COVID. Jamestown has 2 cases of COVID. Why would they be treated the same? Why would they be treated the same for their businesses? Restaurants open, bars open. Why would you treat them the same? And what would she say? Because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I would say, but wait a minute. That makes no sense at all. You're treating two communities, Jamestown, the same as Central Falls, even though Central Falls at one point was the hot spot for COVID. Jamestown has barely, because of diversity and equity and inclusion. I mean, it was ridiculous, and it's going away. But here's the real storm clouds. Here's the real storm clouds for the McKee administration. And I don't know how much local media will pick up on it. I think for some people, it's almost uncomfortable to even dwell on it. I also want to remind people that former Congressman David Cicilline, who runs the Rhode Island Foundation, all being done because at some point he wants to either run for Senator Reid's seat or Senator Whitehouse seat, but nevertheless. So, but he is still powerful and makes financial donations to certain members of the local media. So their coverage goes a certain way. But before I tell you about something very significant that even the Boston Globe has today, I want to remind you about Modern Mechanical. Folks, know right now with this cold, and we still tragically have a long way to go with this cold air and winter. Modern Mechanical, they can do boiler repair and maintenance. You need your heating system working at full strength. Boiler repair and maintenance, furnace repair and maintenance, heater repair and maintenance. Modern Mechanical. Call them today, 401 441 5442. Modern Mechanical. They're right on Jefferson Boulevard. Call them today, Modern Mechanical, 401 441 5442. This is not the type of weather where you want to have a problem with your boiler. If you've been having a problem with your boiler or your furnace or heater, call Modern Mechanical today. Let's get it working as effectively as possible, or maybe you need a new one. 401 441 5442. So the Boston Globe has this headline. Now, for those that have paid attention, I put out on Monday night, Governor McKee mentioned, he was saying, have you seen what's going on in New England and Rhode Island? All these dead whales. And President Trump said that is coming to an end. That is absolutely coming to an end. We're not going to have all of these windmills and everything that's going on with that. So right now, the Boston Globe has a story today, and for those that have been paying attention to it, and here was their headline, by the way, did Trump just cancel offshore wind? Some projects off the Massachusetts coast and Rhode Island coast may be dead in the water. Folks, and for good reason. You're not saving money. It's far too expensive. Now, the reason I mentioned, I don't know why the rest of the local media, I'll have to double check. But Governor McKee, talk about putting all your eggs in one basket. They have chased away jobs. They do nothing to try to lure or be business friendly. Rhode Island consistently is one of the most hostile states in the country to try to do business, as Hasbro is finding out. Did you hire a lobbyist yet? Can you imagine Hasbro's being asked that? Did you hire a lobbyist yet? Because you got to kick some of that money back to us. So so short-sighted. Governor McKee, the new green economy and green jobs, and we're going to have all these stupid windmills off of Block Island, and we're going to have, guess what? No, you're not. Because they depend on federal subsidies, they depend on certain regulations, and it's going away. Do you realize that the entire McKee, it's all part of the green economy and blah, 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 and all this foolishness. And they would strong arm these companies. You have to be unionized. You got to let all these union people in. We're only dealing with you if you're unionized. What do you think is going to happen to those companies? Those companies depend on government subsidies. Those companies, these wind companies, they can't function without government subsidies. That's where the money is. Without them, they can't function. They can't operate. So what does that mean? Well, they're not getting the government subsidies. This whole notion of Governor McKee, and that's where we're wrapping our arms. Rhode Island is the state, the Green New Deal and the green economy and blah, blah, blah. Nowhere. You are nowhere. They can't operate that way. I also saw this story. I just want to mention America has Dodge fever. Republicans in state capitals rush to emulate Trump and Musk's government slashing project. Good. It's about time. Let's bring it here. The government waste. Folks, what you need to know, America has Dodge fever. Let me just read this. Boston Globe. As President Trump signed an executive order creating the Department of Government Efficiency, basic questions still swirling scope and structure. One legacy of the project's already come into focus. A crop of imitators sprouting up in state capitals around the country. Spending slashing. In recent weeks, Republican officials in several states, New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Missouri, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Arizona, all slashing. The new governor of New Hampshire, first executive order, Commission on Government Efficiency, smarter than ever before, running state government wisely. They're all slashing. What is McKee doing? Let's add more state jobs. What is McKee saying? Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, we're going to raise how much money, the state income level, we're going to raise that by 2030 by just giving raises to all of the state workers, and the taxpayers have to pay for it. Folks, it is absolutely moronic. The big headline around his State of the State, talking about Governor McKee now, the big headline around that was that he needed to close a $300 million deficit. Folks, I'm telling you right now, on this Wednesday, January 22nd, they're missing a zero. They're missing a zero. It's not a $300 million deficit. It's going to be a $3 billion deficit. They don't get it. They absolutely don't get it. There's no doubt in my mind. And I'll even say this. Local media should be more aggressive in reporting it. Enough of this mamby-pamby BS. Take the training wheels off. Stop enabling this guy. They're not dealing in reality. It's way too much duplication in state spending. Way too much. I want to just make sure. Let's see. Governor Healy unveiling her budget proposal. I'm sure she is. Trump administration to criminally probe officials who resist immigration actions. How about that? Let's see. That's interesting to me. It's about time. Folks, this is, everything that Trump administration warned city, state officials not to resist immigration crackdown. U.S. prosecutors, again, this is the president now. And again, let's also keep in mind, again, McKee did not go to the inauguration. President Trump has directed U.S. prosecutors criminally probe state local officials who resist immigration enforcement issues. Why does this thing keep popping up this way? I'm trying to read this and it having something. Federal law prohibits state local actors from resisting. Good. Go after them. Good. Folks, I mean, I'm having a Cialis type reaction to the thought that we may see Magritte in handcuffs. It's about time. He should be. Go after them. You don't get to do that. Again, another reason he should have been at that inauguration. I want to go back to the Globe because this is also really important about the bridge. This is wildly important. I hope Lynn Miller is watching because I'll say this about the Boston Globe. They're not pulling punches. The Globe is not pulling punches in any way. So let's see. Justice Department directs prosecutors to probe local efforts to obstruct immigration enforcement. Good. Trying to impede it. Go after them. McKee, Matos, hey, in that case, Mayor Smiley. Go after them. Enough of this. Guess what? You don't get to make up the rules. We're tired of it. Or the mayor of Central Falls, or the mayor of Pawtucket, for that matter. So, hold on. Let me just find the story that I was trying to find. I just saw it. Maybe the Boston Globe. Trump administration is going to dismantle DEI programs. Good. Governor Healy, the governor of Massachusetts, spent 76 days out of state last year. 76 days out of state. What? That is absolutely pathetic. Where is it? They had that Massachusetts thought that they were going to have a program, and the new administration is throwing the brakes on it. So let me just quickly find it. Folks, again, this stuff is happening very, very rapidly. I like the idea of going after a lot of the politicians. If you don't want to follow the law, then, so be it. I want to just, I love that. Massive offshore wind news today. Wow. They're going to shut it down. Absolutely shut it down. Let me just quickly. So offshore wind projects are now dead. What does that mean what about all those union workers? Folks, the other big news, I can't, is the fact that this business of going after the bridge contractors, the attorneys for the bridge contractors are saying that the state knew that the Washington Bridge was deficient. The state knew that, and the state did nothing about it. So how are you going to sue them? You knew that there was a problem. Of course they knew there was a problem. Do you see what's happening right now? That things are moving so quickly and so rapidly that the McKee administration, they're a day late, they're a week late and $10 short, not just a day late and $1 short. Folks, this portion of our program, I want to talk to you about Arch Design and Builders. Family owned and operated. You're going to love dealing with Ed and Roxanne. Specialize in kitchen, bath, custom remodels. All of their customers love it. New bathroom. Here's one customer testimonial. New bathroom came out amazing. They did what they said they would do when they said they would do it. Remodel took 5 weeks. By week 3, they were having lunch with the crew. They would let the dog out. Remodel was done just in time for the holiday that we're getting ready for. Arch Design and Builders. Folks, whether it is your home or business, they specialize. Arch, A-R-C-A, Arch Design Builders specialize in residential design. So you're looking for great workmanship, fair prices, give them a call today. Arch Design Builders, 401-207-4124. If you're listening right now and you've been thinking, we want to redo our kitchen, we want to redo a bathroom, We want to redo our basement or maybe add a deck or any special project, home or business. Arch Design Builders. Call them, have a conversation. Let's dream. 401 207 4124. Well, folks, good afternoon. Also, Ryan sent me an email. Ryan apparently needs some trees trimmed and asked me, who did I recommend? You want to call JD's Lawn Care and Tree Service, Ryan, 401 441 0154. They're right in Coventry. JD Lawn Care Tree Service, 401 441 0154. Well, folks, good afternoon. This is major that the Trump administration right now is looking to probe and go after local politicians who plan to defy the law and potentially charge them criminally. I say 100%. This is where the rubber meets the road. Do you understand? I don't think this is emphasized enough. Rhode Island is so reliant on all this federal money coming in. The state operates as a welfare state. Governor McKee doesn't have a clue how to navigate this economy without all this federal money pumping in. He's not up to the job. They've ignored all the warnings. They don't understand. Elon Musk, efficiency, that's what people want. Folks, in your own cities and towns, there's too many employees. There's too much duplication. We don't need any of this stuff. And I've even mentioned, and it also goes into, by the way, into a lot of the government services. And this is something that Rhode Island's known about, but no one really likes to talk about out loud, and that is regionalization. You don't need all these different fire departments. You don't need all these different police departments. As I've said, look in the East Bay. East Providence has their own police department and fire. Barrington has their own police and fire. Warren has their own police and fire. Bristol has their own police and fire. For what? Just make it East Bay Police, East Bay Fire, one chief, one commander. Same thing within the ranks of the fire. The fire department. All these battalion chiefs. This one's a chief, battalion chief. You don't need that. It's inefficient. It's too government heavy. Do you realize there's now 15,000 state employees? We have double the number of state employees as New Hampshire. Same number of people. It is a waste. And what does the state do? They funnel all this state aid down to the cities and towns. Folks, I am telling you, it is coming to an end. But that is really serious, that they are looking now to potentially charge, criminally probe officials who resist immigration actions. And I want to be very clear. I have zero sympathy for any public official who would not enforce the law and go along with this. I also want to be very clear about something. And I can tell it very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. But I also want to remind you, let's see. Lindsay contacted me. Lindsay said, I heard you mentioning a plumber. Lindsay needs a plumber. Who do I recommend? Contact J&B Plumbing, Lindsay. Plumbing Repair and Service. The Dream Team. Jimmy and Tommy. Call them 401-743-9153. J&B Plumbing. They can repair damaged water pipes, clogged pipelines, water heater, all plumbing work. J&B. Call them 401-743-9153. Just very quickly, folks, I am aware that a lot of illegals are restaurant dishwashers. They do a lot of cleaning. They work. I got that. This is so important. No one is saying get everybody out of the country. We need foreign labor to come in. but it has to be organized and it has to be processed. And we have a right to know who they are and where they are. That's what it is. You can't just have this open door policy. All right. We may be doing Road Patrol Live later. I don't know. Game time decision. In the meantime, enjoy this Wednesday. If you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news.